Chapter 1401, Chaos of War. Supreme Purgatory replied with a bitter smile on his face. There was a patron with immense wealth and a hot temper. In a few short years, he secretly arranged for people to buy large numbers of my gladiators. He even bought 10 of my perfected golden immortal stage deathmatch gladiators. Sigh. Tang Xiu was shocked. He couldn't even hold his breath in. In a few years, this person was able to buy 10 perfected golden immortal stage cultivators. Even in his prime, not even Tang Xiu was financially capable enough to do this. Tang Xiu stared straight at Supreme Purgatory and asked, "Where is this person from?" Supreme Purgatory replied, "Is the great Tang Heavenly Emperor aware of the missing star empire in the Heavenly Phoenix Immortal Domain?" Tang Xiu nodded his head and replied, "I've heard of it from a few hundred years ago. There was a ruthless perfected golden immortal stage cultivator who managed to quickly establish a small state known as the Missing Star Empire. However, this state was not a mortal empire but an empire of immortal cultivators. The ruler of this empire is called the Missing Star Venerable. I have heard of them, but I don't know much about them." Supreme Purgatory then replied, "Yes. The first empress of this Missing Star Empire was once the focus of many powerhouses, just like your great Tang Empire. She had also caused great disturbances across the whole immortal world. However, the person who would know most about her would be me." Tang Xiu was surprised. He asked, "What do you mean?" Supreme Purgatory replied, "This is because this Missing Star Venerable is the same person who bought our perfected golden immortal stage powerhouses. There were 60 of them. This person ended buying nearly half of all our perfected golden immortal stage cultivators. In terms of golden immortal stage cultivators, they bought 600 of them. How wealthy!" Tang Xiu couldn't hold in his disbelief. Supreme Purgatory continued, "Indeed. They are extremely wealthy. This Missing Star Venerable is extremely capable. After becoming the Empress of the Missing Star Empire, their actions became quite unconventional. With a large pool of resources and wealth, they were also able to constantly hire soldiers and mercenaries into their ranks, expanding and strengthening their forces rapidly. The Missing Star Empire of today is the result of that growth. They are no longer the little state that resided in the Heavenly Phoenix Immortal Domain. The Missing Star Empire has now conquered 6 immortal domains with countless immortal soldiers and generals in their ranks. There are now even 5 supremes standing with the Missing Star Venerable." Unfortunately, Tang Xiu suddenly became alert. This was because he realized that the style of expansion and growth was remarkably similar to his own great Tang Empire. Furthermore, the inclusion of supremacy stage powerhouses within the ranks also exceeded some of the dominant forces in the immortal world. "What's unfortunate?" Tang Xiu asked. Supreme Purgatory sighed and replied, "Unfortunately, this Missing Star Empire was met with great trouble recently. They came in conflict with the 100 Poison Sect. Around 4 years ago, the 100 Poison Sect and Missing Star Empire were in conflict. The 100 Poison Sect's people were extremely ruthless. They used poison to decimate many of Missing Star Empire's cities and killed hundreds of millions of Missing Star Empire's citizens. As a result of this, both forces are in a large-scale battle and have already massacred countless people from both sides. This battle continues to this day, and both sides have already suffered great losses." 100 Poison Sect? Tang Xiu was filled with rage. He said, "This 100 Poison Sect is truly too cruel and ruthless. They were even willing to kill so many people in the immortal world. They are no different from demons." Supreme Purgatory didn't care much for life, so he just continued to say, "This is the law of the living. If there is one thing to blame, it's because of the conflict between the Missing Star Empire and 100 Poison Sect. Suddenly, Supreme Purgatory received a communication signet. After reading the contents of the signet, his face was lit up in delight. Then, he said, "The 100 Poison Sect's 100 Poisons Devil has been killed. the 100 Poison sect has been destroyed. Interesting. Very interesting. How terrifying is this missing star empire? Tang Xiu was shocked. In complete disbelief, he replied, although the 100 Poison sect is definitely not considered a powerhouse in the immortal world, they are at least a tier below. They have deep roots in the immortal world, and yet, they were destroyed by the missing star empire who has only been established for a century? Supreme Purgatory chuckled and said, the Great Tang Empire has only been established for around a century as well. You guys probably have enough power to destroy the 100 Poison sect, do you not? Tang Xiu didn't deny it. He proudly replied, although the 100 Poison sect is powerful, they are indeed incomparable to my Great Tang Empire. Half a day later, Supreme Purgatory was leaving for the convict arena. However, before he left, he made a deal with Tang Xiu. This deal involved the convict arena sending 500 golden immortal stage deathmatch gladiators to the Great Tang Empire for a fee that would be paid at the end of 1,000 years. The interest rate was at 2%. After Supreme Purgatory left, Tang Xiu immediately summoned Jing. He also summoned Golden-Eyed Great Peng and Lupus Chimera Monstrum. My lord, what are your orders? Jing understood Tang Xiu's personality. If Tang Xiu directly summoned him, then there was something big going on. Tang Xiu breathed a deep breath, then said, Jing, what are the developments from today's intel gathering? Jing replied, our intel operatives are completely in control of the 10 immortal domains that we have conquered. We know every single thing that happens within the domain. Nothing escapes our ears or eyes. In other news, we have also placed a large part of our intel operatives in the surrounding 18 immortal domains. I estimate that after another century, we will be able to build a complete network of intel in those immortal domains. Tang Xiu then replied, I will give you a month to sort out everything here. Then, I want you to personally bring people to the missing star empire. Your mission is to establish the most classified intel network at the quickest speed you can. Jing, you need to know this. The missing star empire is an empire of immortal cultivators. The control that they have over the empire will not be any worse than our Great Tang Empire. This is why I have arranged from Golden-Eyed Peng and Lupus Chimera Monstrum to go with you to protect you. I hope that you will be able to complete this mission. Jing replied, in deep respect, my lord, I will give my all. Tang Xiu took out a mini version of the Heavenly Abode Immortal artifact, then gave it to Jing and said, there are many cultivation resources here and some immortal crystals and crystal essences. There are also some divine weapons in there. You will need to employ every strategy that you know to establish this intel network. This is all I can give you to support you. Jing excitedly replied, my lord. Don't worry. According to my experience in establishing an intel network, if the missing star empire has tight control, then I will establish it slowly. However, if their control is more relaxed, then I will unleash everything I have in the shadows. You will definitely see results within the next century. Tang Xiu shook his head and replied, I will give you 20 years. Within these 20 years, no matter the progress, you will return from the missing star empire. There's not that much time left from our 300-year plan. Yes, my lord. Jing replied, feeling deep respect for his lord. Tang Xiu waved his hand to dismiss Jing. He said, all right, then. Go and make your necessary preparations. Half a month later, Tang Xiu stood at the palace's entrance, watching as Jing left for the missing star empire. He turned his head, looking at Zenith Venerable and Siwei Monarch, and said, I'm extremely curious about the missing star empire. Let's go as well. I want to know about this missing star Venerable from the missing star empire. She has done a huge favor for our Great Tang Empire. We should go and visit her anyway. Siwei Monarch was confused. The missing star empire did us a huge favor? How come I don't know about it? Tang Shou smiled and replied, in the past few years, the Missing Star Empire has been in a constant battle with the 100 Poisons sect. Now, they have destroyed the 100 Poisons sect. This sect, alongside with the Myriad Sword sect, are both enemies of the Vermilion Bird Holy sect. Naturally, they also are our enemies. An enemy of an enemy is our friend. The Siwei monarch understood. He laughed and said, My lord, since you have decided to personally visit the Missing Star Empire, why did you not go with Jing? Instead, you have decided to follow them in secret. Tang Xiu replied, one walks in the shadows while the other walks in the light. This way, we will then be able to resolve any dangers if it arises. Right now, we don't know much about the Missing Star Empire. Furthermore, we will be passing through a few dangerous areas, so it will be better if we are more cautious. Whoosh! A blurry silhouette suddenly appeared out of thin air in front of Tang Xiu and the rest. It was the beautiful Mu Weining. Her gaze swept over Zenith Venerable and the other three, hesitated for a second, then said, Respected elders, could you all vacate this area for a bit? I have something to tell the Emperor. Yes. All three of them agreed and immediately flew away. Tang Xiu was a little confused, then curiously asked, Weining, what is it? What matter requires you to talk to me privately? Mu Weining hesitated, then a hint of red appeared on her cheeks. She lowered her voice and said, I'm pregnant. What? Tang Xiu froze. He was in disbelief. This was something that he didn't even dream about. He hadn't expected that the purpose behind Mu Weining's visit was to tell him of such news. Pregnant? He was becoming a father? Tang Xiu looked at the blushing Mu Weining. Suddenly, he laughed loudly and said, Yes. What good news! I, Tang Xiu, am becoming a father. This is great news. I thought there was a problem with my body because I have never had a child. Now, it's not that I have a problem, but that it was just simply not the time. Weining, how long has it been? Tang Xiu pulled Mu Weining into an embrace, and she replied bashfully, It has been around 2 months. I know that you are leaving soon, so could you leave at a later date? I want you there when the child is born. Tang Xiu instantly replied, No problem. I plan to leave the Great Tang Empire immediately to deal with some things outside. However, since you are already pregnant, then I will delay my date of departure. Oh, that's right. Is mother aware of your pregnancy? Mu Weining shook her head and replied, She doesn't know yet. You're the first person I have told. Tang Xiu hugged her tightly, then they both disappeared from the palace doors. When both of them appeared again, they were inside their mother's backyard. As Tang Xiu looked at his younger brother Tang Xian and his mother Su Lingyun, he smiled and released Mu Weining. Then, he laughed as he said, Mother. We have something to tell you. Chapter 1402, Great Celebrations. Su Lingyun saw Tang Xiu, then replied in a disapproving tone, I'm not interested in knowing about the great happenings in your empire. Xiu, come help me convince your brother. He's already quite old, yet he still doesn't want to get married and have children. Look, I already have white hairs from you, and now him. Tang Xiu laughed and replied, Mother, since he doesn't want to get married and have kids yet, then you shouldn't nag him about it. If the time comes, then he might marry really quickly. Mother, do you not want to hear some great news? Good news? Su Lingyun suddenly got excited. She immediately walked over to Mu Weining, then hurriedly asked, Are you pregnant? Mu Weining immediately blushed and shyly nodded her head. Su Lingyun's eyeballs popped out of her sockets and she became extremely excited. She hurriedly asked again, Really? I'm about to become a grandma? Tang Xiu's handsome face suddenly had a confused expression. He didn't expect that his mother would be able to guess that Mu Weining was pregnant straight away. How much did she want grandchildren? After a short while, All of the upper echelons in the Great Tang Empire received a piece of confirmed news: the queen of the Great Tang Empire, Mu Weining, was now pregnant. This news spread throughout the empire like wildfire. As a result of this news, Tang Shou's plans to head to the Missing Star Empire were delayed. Misty Spring Ocean, Fragrant Garden Island. Inside a palace, two elderly people, one male and one female, were resting on their knees. They were reading the contents from many jade slips. Suddenly, the old lady looked up, then gazed at the girl sitting at the window and said, "Commander, I have news." The girl turned her head and asked, "What is it?" The old lady replied, "We just received news that the Great Tang Empire has produced their first heir. One of the empresses of the Great Tang Empire, Mu Weining, is confirmed to be pregnant. She will soon be bearing their first heir." The girl paused, then sent out a communication signet. Then, she replied, "Our Lady commanded us to build an intel network in the Great Tang Empire. Although we have put our best efforts forward, the Great Tang Empire's intel network is still better than ours. In the last 100 years, we have lost far too many men. Now, we have finally received something useful." The old lady smiled bitterly and replied, "The Emperor of the Great Tang Empire is quite similar to our Empress. They both place great emphasis on information. As for our intel network, there are frequently problems regarding getting found out, which causes holes in the intel network. When will this come to an end?" The girl shook her head and replied, "Our Empress is surely familiar with the Emperor of the Great Tang Empire. Otherwise, she wouldn't be this cautious towards the Great Tang Empire. Furthermore, she wouldn't be this focused on the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor either." Immortal World, Heavenly Phoenix Immortal Domain. There was an unbelievably tall and large palace. The roof of this palace pierced the clouds in the sky, and it was covered in black. Hundreds of layers of arrays engulfed this palace, and there were also countless immortal soldiers guarding this place. The palace was guarded exceptionally heavily. There was a perfected golden immortal stage cultivator, donning black battle robes with a red cloak. Her beautiful face suddenly twisted into one of astonishment. After grabbing the communication signet, she didn't even dare to read the contents of the communication signet. Instead, she quickly entered the palace. Empress. The person, Dark Wind, appeared in front of the Missing Star Venerable, seated on her Nine Winds Cathedra, then respectfully said, "We have news from the Great Tang Empire. Empress, please have a look." The Missing Star Venerable, in her long black robes and donning a black mask, slowly raised her head. Then, she grabbed the communication signet and read the contents of the signet. After reading it, her body, covered in dark clothing, shook a little. Her whole body was covered entirely in black, as if a moving mass of black smoke covered her body. "I got it." Dismissed. Dark Wind paused for a second. She realized that there was a hint of instability in the Empress' voice. 2 days later, the Missing Star Venerable issued an imperial decree which stated, "I'm sealing myself away for 100 years. Supreme Murong is to act as my proxy and govern the Missing Star Empire. Unless the nation is at risk of being destroyed, I'm not to be disturbed." In a blink of an eye, half a year had already passed. Great Tang Empire. After the loud cry of a baby was heard, flashes of light were seen flying in all directions from the palace of the Great Tang Empire. "The prince has been born. Rejoice! Rejoice!" Tang Xiu stood at the end of the bed, holding his newborn son. He was extremely excited, having a sense of fatherhood and a blood connection to this newborn baby. However, his emotions were quite complicated. The things of the past were still hidden in the depths of his heart. All of these old feelings were still as clear as day as the scenes flashed in his mind. It still pained him. "Lord Husband, Supreme Myriad Herbs is here. He's going to examine us. I hope that there aren't any problems with us. Lord Husband, Qinsheng is so happy. We have no problems at all. I want to bear a child for us as soon as I can. Lord husband, it's already been 6 times. Supreme Myriad Herbs has already come 6 times. Why is it that our bodies are healthy, and yet I'm unable to bear your child? Lord husband, I envying Wei. She's only around 2,000 years old, and yet she already has 6 children. Lord husband, I really want to further your bloodline. Lord husband, you should take concubines. I can't bear it. Lord husband. Tang Xiu's heart was in pain. It was so excruciatingly painful that the hands that he used to hold his newborn son were slightly trembling. He once dreamed countless times of this reality. He dreamed of this reality that he was able to hold his own child while gazing lovingly at the beautiful face on the bed. Xiu, let me hold him. When Mu Weining, lying on the bed, called out to Tang Xiu, it woke him up from his memories. A hint of guilt then grew in his heart. He carefully handed the baby to Mu Weining. Xiu, give him a name. Tang Yan. Tang Xiu didn't even think twice. He immediately blurted the name out. After saying it, his whole body shook. Then, he suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared again, his face was twisted in pain and rage. That's right. Pain. Rage. However, he wasn't angry at other people, but himself. He once thought that he had forgotten about his past. He thought that he had forgotten that woman. However, he now realized that it wasn't that easy. This was a love that spanned thousands of years. How could he just simply forget it that easily? After a while, Tang Xiu finally calmed down. He sighed deeply, then said, maybe giving it time will be the best choice. After a month, the Great Tang Empire held an extravagant event. It was a grand celebration of Tang Yan being 1 month old. It was also during this day that Tang Xiu decided not to wait any longer. He was going to announce the beginning of the war. He wanted to kill. He wanted to give his newborn son a peaceful future. He was going to use the Great Tang Empire as his spear and shield to carve out a new future. He could bear the consequences of this rage and hatred alone, but he did not want his son to bear it. Therefore, he wanted to eradicate all of his enemies before his son matured. Vermilion Bird Holy Sect. Supreme Star Soul was sitting on his sect leader's seat at this time. He was smiling as he held his wife, Apotheon Carmen Mist's hands. He gazed into the distance as if his line of sight pierced through space and fell on his dear grandson. Lord husband, it should be starting soon, right? Apotheon Carmen Mist was extremely excited, but she managed to keep her composure. Supreme Star Soul's smile slowly disappeared. Then, with a heavy look in his eyes, he said, the Great Tang Empire's military movements have become abnormal. A lot of their soldiers have disappeared. If my guess is correct, then I think that Xiu is preparing a peaceful era for our future grandson to be born into. It has already been a long time. Now, it's time for revenge. Apotheon Carmen Mist replied, I have always blamed my weakness and lack of power. Now, it will be different. I'm now a supreme, and our Vermilion Bird Holy Sect now has 8 supremes. Adding Apotheon Bella and Sable Fiend Scorpion into our ranks, we have 10 supremes in total. Even if we declared war today, we would still be able to massacre all the scum of the Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace. Supreme Star Soul nodded his head, then replied, you're correct, but we cannot be complacent. Even with our strength, we would still suffer great losses if we wanted to completely destroy our enemies. Therefore, we need to wait for Tang Xiu and his great armies. Yes. Apotheon Carmen Mist nodded her head furiously. Outside of the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect. On a planet somewhere in the vast starry sky, Great Emperor Dan Qing was deep in cultivation. Suddenly, his expression changed slightly. In a flash, he was outside the palace. He watched as 4 black-robed people flew towards him from afar. His attention slowly became focused on the chest area of their black robes. Ghost Sect. Shade Demon Zhu Wushuo's servants. Zither Demon Jiuyao silently appeared next to the Great Emperor Danqing and said. Great Emperor Danqing coldly laughed and replied, Shade Demon Zhu Wushuo is a cunning man. He's always plotting. When we surrounded and attacked the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect, he personally brought a large group of the strongest immortals in the Ghost Sect to destroy the disciples of the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect. They also killed them in cruel and horrific methods, even more than us. Now that his people are here, I'm not sure what they want this time. Those 4 people already arrived in front of the 2 of them while they were still talking. Great Emperor Danqing. Zither Demon Jiuyao. The leader of those 4 was an elder with red hair, and his name was Yin Wufa. His eyes swept over the 2 of them, then said, In the name of my sect leader, I have come to tell you that there is a supreme powerhouse in the Great Tang Empire. This supreme is the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect's late star cultivation Great Emperor's disciple. This person is an apotheon. The former lord of the Misty Spring Ocean is also an apotheon as well. Zither Demon Jiuyao then calmly replied, Yin Wufa, you're a supreme powerhouse in the immortal world. This can't be the only news that you have to relay if you have come here personally. Yin Wufa shook his head and replied, Naturally, you're correct. What I have come to say is that the appearance of the Great Tang Empire is truly quite enigmatic. The speed of their growth is also terrifyingly fast. It's simply unheard of. Our sect leader thinks that the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor has deep ties to the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect. Today, the Great Tang Empire has begun to mobilize its troops. In a few days, 80% of their troops have already vanished into thin air. Therefore, our sect leader is afraid that something had happened here, that's why he sent us over as reinforcements. Chapter 1403, An All-Out Fight. Black Wind Immortal Domain. 3 figures suddenly appeared on top of a planet like a bolt of lightning. Tang Xiu had come dressed for battle, wearing black armor and wielding his divine sword in hand as he surveyed the surroundings coolly. After the army of the Great Tang Empire had entered his heavenly abode 9 days ago, he had made haste to reach the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect. Although he could faintly sense someone spying on him during this time, he couldn't find their tracks even after using the heavenly magic mirror. As such, he had left the ranks of his entourage along with Old Sycamore and Eagle in an attempt to draw out the enemy. If the enemy were to appear, Tang Xiu planned to engage in battle with them after summoning the 4 supremes that were stationed within a small-sized heavenly abode he carried on him. Your Majesty, could it be that you were mistaken? Eagle asked in a slightly hesitating tone as he checked the surroundings unceasingly with his keen gaze. Tang Xiu shook his head and said, That's very unlikely. I've had this feeling countless times before, and it has helped me survive through danger equally if not more times. I'm certain that someone is hiding within the darkness and spying on us. If they are a hostile party, they would be making an appearance soon enough. Time flitted by and 2 whole days passed by in a flash. Although Tang Xiu and the others were seated cross-legged on this planet, they were on high alert at all times over these last 2 days. Eagle's heart trembled in palpitation as he spoke, They've come. Tang Xiu flew up and looked towards the distant void. He could already see the clear image of a war chariot making its way towards them, and soon after, there was only a distance of 10,000 meters left between them. The chariot just had one mysterious black-robed man riding on it, and he had donned an immortal robe that prevented the spiritual sense of others to sense him along with a black mask on his face. Who are you? Tang Xiu asked as he stood midair and directed his gaze towards the mysterious man. On the chariot, Shade Demon Zhu Wushuo's lips curled into a smile, and a dark look appeared on his face as he enunciated his words. Many have asked me this question before, but all of them have perished in soul and flesh after asking it. If I remember it correctly, a vast majority of them belonged to the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect. A cold glint flashed across Tang Xiu's eyes as he replied in a deep voice, Someone once told me that he injured my disciple and almost caused my yen to perish perpetually. I believe you're him, right? Azura witch. Gu Yen. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou took his mask off along with the hat he was wearing to reveal his beguiling, handsome looks as well as scattered white hair. Tang Shou said with a sneer, Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. I never thought you would drop in before I even went looking for you. Even I hadn't sensed the deep hatred you held for my Vermilion Bird holy sect at all. I really commend you for that. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou laughed out loud. I really never expected this. Who could have known that the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor of the Great Tang Empire is actually the former Star Cultivation Great Emperor? This is indeed interesting, very interesting. That foolish disciple of mine actually betrayed me for you. She had a pretty straightforward death, yet you have managed to survive. This is indeed pretty vexing. Also, Great Emperor Da Qing and Zither Demon Zhou Yao, these two good-for-nothings. They plotted so long back then yet still failed in the end. Tang Shou clenched his fists hard and gazed at Shade Demon Zhu Wushou with rancor. If someone were to ask him who he hated the most in this world, it was neither Great Emperor Da Qing nor Zither Demon Zhou Yao, but rather this Shade Demon Zhu Wushou before him. It was him who had made him feel the sense of betrayal by his true love. It was him who had persecuted him by manipulating events while hiding in the shadows. A somewhat sinister expression appeared on Tang Shou's face as he replied to him gloomily, Your darling disciple didn't betray you. If she hadn't snuck an attack on me first, it would have been hard for Great Emperor Da Qing and Zither Demon Zhou Yao to kill me with their paltry abilities. I've always guarded my back against others except for those closest to me. And she was the only outsider other than my father and family among those exceptions. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou laughed out loud. So it was like that. It seems like you hate her very much, huh? It's a pity that she's already dead, or else it would have been pretty interesting to see you two meet each other again. Aren't I right? The most dazzling supreme of the immortal world, Star Cultivation Great Emperor? Tang Shou sneered. You better stop counting your chickens before they are hatched since it's just going to be futile. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou said with a laugh, It doesn't matter even if it ends up futile. After all, she's just a chess piece of mine, so as far as I'm concerned, I have suffered no losses even if she has perished eternally. I'm actually more curious about you. You have actually recultivated so quickly and also managed to establish a behemoth like the Great Tang Empire. This is really impressive. Tang Shou took a deep breath and said, Since you know my Great Tang Empire is a behemoth with plenty of powerhouses afoot, I don't know whether to praise you for your courage or to curse your stupidity for showing up. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou raised his hand and laughed. I have one last question. If you are able to answer this, I'll give you one chance to battle me directly. Ask away. Tang Shou stated indifferently. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou chuckled. You must be the reason Heavenly Emperor Tianji amputated his arm, right? Just what ace did you use to make him do that so resolutely? Tang Shou said faintly, I just made someone tell this to him, amputate your arm if you wish to live, and that will resolve the grudge. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's expression changed slightly. The smile of his face vanished as he gave Tang Shou a profound look before responding coldly, That's quite impressive, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. This Heavenly Emperor Tianji, on the other hand, is pretty trashy. A stately supreme like him actually got scared by a few words from you and amputated his arm, what a fool he is. Never mind, I'll eliminate you here today and then find a way to crush that Great Tang Empire of yours. Saying so, he waved his arms, and in just a few breaths, a total of 6 supremes as well as a few dozen perfected golden immortals surrounded Tang Shou, Eagle, and Old Sycamore. How is this possible? Tang Shou's expression changed suddenly. He felt enraged when he saw the 6 supremes who had appeared and roared at them. Supreme Mantis, Supreme Mega, Supreme Ice Snow. I never thought you 3 would actually become the lackeys of Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. Supreme Ice Snow sneered back at him. Star Cultivation Great Emperor, oh, pardon me. You're Great Tang Heavenly Emperor now, right? Since we can obtain what we want the most from Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's hands, we'll obviously have no qualms working for him. Do you know? We can get a divinity attainment pill as long as we succeed in killing you. I have 60% confidence in crossing the divine tribulation and ascending to the god realm to become a deity, with the divinity attainment pill's aid. Killing me is just a pipe dream for you all. Tang Xiu called the 4 supremes stationed within his heavenly abode outside and said majestically, although you are a bit stronger than us, our side doesn't lack in killing methods at all. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, since you chose this place as the battlefield, you must have planned to battle us here at once, right? It's just that. Supreme Ice Snow's expression changed greatly as he asked in a deep voice, what? Tang Xiu smirked and said, it's just that you are on a time limit. If you fail to eliminate us all within 7 days, your judgment day might just end up falling upon you. My great Tang Empire has close to 20 supremes now, so I really wish to see who will come out alive in this final game between us. Just empty talk. Supreme Ice Snow snorted as he didn't believe Tang Xiu's words. After all, he had never heard of any force possessing more than 10 supremes, let alone 20. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou stated gloomily, stop wasting your breath and attack now. We still need to make a trip to the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect after this. It took a lot of effort to obtain the formation-breaking talisman from the demon realm, so it's time to destroy the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect after a millennium-long struggle at death's door. Kill them. The 6 supremes who had arrived with Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, as well as dozens of perfected golden immortals, unfounded a fearsome attack on Tang Xiu's group. Rainbow Phantasmagoria Realm. Tang Xiu employed one of his divine powers at the instant they moved and targeted Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and the other 6 supreme powerhouses. Spurt. 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 The subordinates of Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and the 6 supremes were caught off guard and fell under the illusion of the Rainbow Phantasmagoria realm. Although they broke free from the illusion almost instantaneously and even managed to dodge Tang Xiu and the others' fatal attacks, they had gained some flesh injuries on their bodies. Die, Star Cultivation Great Emperor. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou was a late-stage supreme powerhouse and could contend with 2 to 3 supremes at the early stage or mid-stage, with his battle strength. As such, while the other supremes confronted Eagle, Old Sycamore, and the others together with the perfected golden immortals, Tang Xiu faced Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's attacks and got blown away in just a few dozen breaths. What a strong physique. I never expected the new Star Cultivation Great Emperor to actually become a body cultivator. Although Tang Xiu hadn't suffered that many injuries when he got blown away, he could feel the disparity in strength between him and Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. We're outmatched and outnumbered, so we're unable to take the upper hand. Tang Xiu took a deep breath and used his strongest divine power immediately. Heavenly Net. The powerful primal chaos force flowed out from Tang Xiu's body steadily along with the appearance of illusionary lines within the void. The 6 supremes confronting Eagle, Old Sycamore, and the others were affected instantaneously, and 2 of them suffered from heavy injuries because of the split-second gap that had opened up, while the other 4 were also inflicted with light injuries. What's this damned thing? Break for me. A wrathful expression appeared on Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's beguiling face as he struck Tang Xiu with his saber. The countless multicolored lines that had appeared suddenly had stopped the beam of saber light his saber had emitted. Boom. The saber struck the primal chaos force that Tang Xiu had released after slicing through all the lines and blew him away, and Shade Demon Zhu Wushou appeared before Tang Xiu in the next instant. A beam of light flashed by as he struck at Tang Xiu's head fiercely, seemingly with an intent to behead Tang Xiu with this single attack. Chapter 1404, A Life Saved at the Cost of Others. Your Majesty. Although Old Sycamore and the others were battling power enemies, their attention was on Tang Xiu at all times. They used their most formidable attacks as if their life depended on it to force back their opponents and rushed towards Tang Xiu and Zhu Wushou immediately. They are quite loyal. A cold gleam of light flashed past Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's eyes as he used his strongest divine power, Twilight Nightmare, and enveloped all 7 of them in it. Break for me. Break. Go. Crazed expressions appeared on their faces as they unfolded a fierce offense towards Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, almost with the intent to exchange their lives with his. Boom. The planet nearby exploded within the vast starry skies, yet the explosive force behind the explosion didn't have any influence on them. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's strongest attack also got defeated by their superimposed attacks. Kill them all. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou commanded in an enraged voice, and following that, the 6 Supremes that had accompanied him immediately charged at Old Sycamore and the others. The intense battle caused the stars around them to tremble, and the nearby planets exploded one after the other because of the energy fluctuations. The blasts from the explosion of the planets as well as the attacks of the Supremes even caused space to destabilize and form innumerable black holes. This battle continued for 5 days, and during this time, no matter whether it was Tang Xiu or the others from his group, all of them had suffered grievous injuries. On the enemy side, Shade Demon Zhu Wushou had just suffered light injuries, and the same could be said for Supreme Ice Snow. However, the other 5 Supremes who had accompanied Shade Demon Zhu Wushou had all gotten severely injured. Twilight Nightmare, Void Blast. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou revealed a dense killing intent on his face as he watched Tang Xiu get blown away. As soon as he uttered those words, he immediately followed up with his strongest attack once again. Pain flashed across Tang Xiu's eyes as he spewed out blood. As he was almost 10 times weaker than before, there was a huge chasm between his strength and a late-stage supreme like Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. The reason he had managed to hold on for 5 days was that Old Sycamore and the others had gone all out to protect him, and also because of the aid provided by the fully matured Supremacy Stage Star Devourer insect residing inside his body. If not for them, he would have died in Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's hands 5 days ago. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou revealed a crazed smile on his face as he watched Tang Xiu and seized this opportunity to teleport and arrive before him momentarily. His saber struck down towards Tang Xiu's head, and he almost felt like he could see the scene of his saber splitting Tang Xiu into 2 any moment now. Twilight Nightmare. A cold, monotonous voice echoed from behind Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, and a demon artifact pierced through his defenseless body along with an explosive amount of fearsome energy. Scram. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's expression changed greatly. His saber that was just inches away from reaching Tang Xiu's head changed directions and struck towards his back. At the same time, he gathered his energy to use Twilight Nightmare once again and bombarded the person behind him with it resolutely. The person who had attacked Shade Demon Zhu Wushou at almost the same moment got hit in the chest badly, and flew back within the void as Shade Demon Zhu Wushou fell back several thousands of meters, blood spewing out from the wound on his chest. Tang Xiu's gaze fell on the person who had got blown away from Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's attack. Although he couldn't see their appearance, he had recognized their identity after hearing their toneless voice. Leave now. Tang Xiu roared at them with a crazed expression on his face. That person paused for a moment, and after looking at Tang Xiu deeply, they immediately charged at Shade Demon Zhu Wushou in silence. A storm of demon flames appeared all of a sudden as a crazy amount of black mist surged up from the surroundings, instantly enveloping Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and them in it. Damn it! Who are you and why can you use my Twilight Nightmare? Arg, you scoundrel! You actually plan to detonate your immortal soul? Scram for me! A figure flew out of the roiling black mist like a broken kite while spewing out blood crazily. Their right arm had been amputated while a huge hole had appeared on their chest. Furthermore, their mutilated body was suppressed by a flickering golden soul seal. Whoosh! Tang Xiu felt like his heart had ripped into 2 pieces, his cheeks trailing with tears. He appeared behind that figure instantly and held them in his embrace. Cough. The person's mask had broken into pieces already, and their black robes were in a tattered state. Shui Qingcheng coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood, and although her forehead had creased up in pain, she had a poignant smile on her face right now. You idiot. Tang Shou poured a crazy amount of primal chaos force inside her body as she laid within his embrace. He could sense that Han Qingwu was losing her vitality at a rapid pace, and from the looks of it, it seemed like she would die thoroughly in just a few hours. Cough. I am an idiot. Shui Qingqing's eyes brimmed with tears, yet the smile on her face turned even brighter. She raised her blood-stained hands and caressed Tang Shou's face gently before speaking in a weak voice. I owed him a favor before, and all my relatives were in his hands too. If cough. I hadn't struck you back then, they would have all died and I wouldn't have been able to pay back the favor I owed him. Xiao, you're the person who I'm most indebted to in this world. My life is yours even if you're unwilling to see me again. If you wish to have a tranquil life, just watching you silently from far away is enough to fill me with happiness. If you wish to kill someone, you just need to point your blade at them, and I will. Cough, kill them for you. Do you know? This is the happiest I have felt ever since that day. I'm pleading with you. Please break the soul seal on me. Xiao, this is the first time I've ever asked something from you. Please, leave. Leave. Tang Shou cried his heart out, tears bursting out like a broken dam, and the heartrending pain almost made him go insane. At this moment, he had finally realized that although she had struck him back then, it wasn't because she didn't love him. On the contrary, she was so deeply in love with him that the pain she had to bear was much worse than his. She died before. She really committed suicide after attacking me back then. She is Shui Qingcheng, yet she's also Han Qingwu. She loved me all along. But I kept thinking of killing her and always hated her. And she persisted just as before, enduring everything. Tang Shou's heart filled with remorse. He had always seen things from his perspective and never considered the pain in Shui Qingqing's heart. Leave. A scream echoed out from Tang Shou's bosom as a fearsome force pushed him hundreds of kilometers away. In the next instant, Shui Qingcheng appeared near Eagle. After taking a fierce hit from Supreme Ice Snow for him, she roared at him, "Help me break the soul seal." Arg. The gravely injured old sycamore, who was on the brink of losing his life, issued a beastly roar all of a sudden as he bellowed out loud, "Your Majesty! Old sycamore has forgotten the grace you have shown me. And now, it's time for me to pay you back." Boom. A terrifying explosion that was 100 times more powerful than the explosion of a planet unfolded after that, with old sycamore at the center. The dreadful energy from the detonation progressed in all directions with terrifying speed and resulted in the nearby Supreme Ice Snow's body exploding into a battered state. Only his immortal soul managed to escape and fled towards the distance in fear. Old sycamore. Tang Shou's body trembled violently as pain overcame his entire body, following which, all the planets inside the cosmic space of his body shone with intense light. A terrifying halo of energy shrouded his body, and his aura soared up explosively in an instant as he made way towards the place Eagle and Shui Qingcheng were located with lightning-quick movements. "Don't break the soul seal." Tang Shou screamed at Eagle. Eagle smiled bitterly and pushed her hundreds of kilometers away by hitting her shoulder with his immortal force, and yelled back at Tang Shou, "Your Majesty, I should have died in the Nifa's abyss 1,000 years ago, but I survived and could even have a child with my wife because you saved her. Please take care of them for me." In the next instant, Eagle charged towards Apotheon Myriad Notes and punched him in the chest. Once he was far away, he donated his immortal soul as well. The Supremes besieging him and Apotheon Myriad Notes were both mid-stage Supremes and were already gravely injured right now. Their expressions changed greatly when they realized Eagle's intentions, but they were unable to withdraw in time, and their bodies vaporized within the explosion. Even their immortal souls failed to escape the detonation of Eagle's immortal soul. Eagle. Tang Xiu's eyes filled with despair as he caught Shui Qingcheng in his embrace, feeling outraged. His eyes turned bloodshot and his body grew in size crazily. His muscles expanded, his bones shattered, and his meridians ruptured. In just a few breaths of time, his height increased by 10 meters, and the fearsome primal chaos force then nourished his muscles, fused his bones, and rejoined his meridians. At this moment, his visage resembled a demon god as the divine sword returned to his hands. He instantaneously appeared before Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, who had an unsightly expression on his face. Damn it! I'm the demon here. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou roared in anger. Although Shui Qingcheng had inflicted a severe wound on him through an ambush, he was confident that he could kill Tang Xiu just as before. The space around him collapsed as a torrent of energy amassed in front of him. His saber then exploded with a bang and turned into a saber light spanning thousands of meters as it struck towards Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu acted as if he hadn't sensed the danger and cut through space with his divine sword to meet the incoming saber light. His current strength wasn't that far from his former self's strongest might. The divine sword in his hand sliced through the saber light and pierced into Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's chest firmly. Divine power, heavenly net. Tang Xiu coughed out a mouthful of blood and, followed by a flash of blood-colored light, countless multicolored lines appeared, extended with him as the source, and covered a range of 500 kilometers around him in an instant. The entire world appeared to have frozen. The magnificent radiance from the multicolored lines made this section of the world appear like an illusionary dream, and repressively beautiful. The dozens of perfected golden immortals were sliced into pieces instantaneously, and their blood seemed to augment this section of the world with dazzling amaryllises. Chapter 1405 A Mutual Defeat. How is this possible? Shade Demon Zhu Wushou sent Tang Xiu flying with a punch, disbelief filling his eyes. Victory was just inches away from him, yet it had turned into such a miserable outcome in the end. Not only had 3 of the 6 Supremes he had brought perished, but there was even a chance of him dying in this battle. It's all or nothing now. A cold glint appeared in Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's eyes. His immortal soul flew out of his body and appeared 500 kilometers away almost instantaneously. Even the numerous multicolored lines that spanned across the void couldn't obstruct him from escaping that far. Detonate. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou yelled frantically, and following that, his body exploded with a loud bang. Although the force of the explosion wasn't as deadly as an immortal soul's detonation, it had blown Tang Xiu away momentarily. Tang Xiu's body flew out towards the distance like a broken kite while blood spewed out from his mouth. In the next instant, Shui Qingcheng's figure appeared behind Tang Xiu and caught him within her embrace, streams of tears flowing down her cheeks as she gazed upon his grievously injured body. Master! Your Majesty! Apotheon Myriad Notes and the other 3 Supremes called out in alarm. They couldn't be bothered to battle the 3 enemy Supremes who had lost their will to battle already and rushed towards Tang Xiu, and Shui Qingcheng sighed immediately. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul escaped and so did the other 3 Supremes. The remaining dozen perfected golden immortals also fled with their bruised bodies. Shui Qingcheng coughed out a mouthful of blood in the chaotic void and handed Tang Xiu over to Apotheon Myriad Notes very carefully. Take good care of him. Saying so, she covered the hole in her chest and flew across into the distance. Stop her. Tang Xiu wobbled his head dizzily and ordered Apotheon Myriad Notes when he realized Shui Qingcheng was planning to leave. Apotheon Myriad Notes hesitated for a moment and smiled bitterly. Master, although she saved you, Tang Xiu interrupted his words and said deeply, she indeed committed a sin once, but how could the pain she felt be any lesser than mine? Myriad Notes, I've thought about it clearly now. Just the fact that she rushed over to save me today and was even willing to detonate her immortal soul, and perish eternally so that I can make it out alive is enough for you to call her madam again. Stop her, or else she absolutely won't live past an hour. Apotheon Myriad Note's expression changed, and he left to chase after Shui Qingcheng immediately. In just a short quarter hour, he had arrived before Shui Qingcheng to block her path. Madam, Master has told me to not let you go. Madam? Shui Qingcheng couldn't hold back her tears as she muttered, is he willing to see me? Apotheon Myriad Notes said, Master just told me a few moments ago that the reason you endangered your own life to save him, and were willing to even detonate your immortal soul to safeguard him is that you really love him. Furthermore, Master has realized the reason behind your actions back then and believes that you must have suffered much harder than him. Did he, really say that? He doesn't hate me? A faint blush appeared on Shui Qingcheng's face, but these emotions just burned her life even faster. Even her flight had become a bit unstable because of it. Apotheon Myriad Notes said solemnly, Madam, Master really doesn't hate you. Please return with me quickly. Master's injuries are pretty grave, so he needs you by his side. What? Shui Qingcheng cried out in alarm and rushed towards Tang Xiu immediately. As she had forcefully increased the speed of her flight, it caused her to cough 2 mouthfuls of blood again. Xiu. Shui Qingcheng's trembling voice was filled with concern and her tears flowed faster once she had arrived before Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu took a deep breath and reached out to hold Shui Qingcheng tightly. Let the matters of the past drift within the winds. You are still my, Tang Xiu's wife, and forever will be. Shui Qingcheng's eyes glimmered with happiness. She had dreamt about hearing these words from Tang Xiu ever since she had regained her memories. Now that her dream had come true, she was ready to accept her death gladly at any moment now. Tang Xiu took another deep breath and clasped Shui Qingcheng's face suddenly. Since you've experienced a new reincarnation and have a new identity, you're no longer Shui Qingcheng. You're Han Qingwu now. Do you believe me, Qingwu? Shui Qingcheng. Han Qingwu nodded solemnly and said, I believe you, even more so than I believe myself. Tang Xiu said, your injuries are pretty serious. Even though I have a great amount of medicinal immortal pills and treasures, I still can't preserve your life. Therefore, I'll need to send you to a place. Even though I don't know whether you will be able to survive after entering there, there's at least some hope if you doing so. Han Qingwu said with a nod, I'll listen to you, and go wherever you want me to go. I won't even hesitate if you want me to die right now. Tang Xiu took a deep breath and raised his head slowly. He utilized the 4th stage of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis to its fullest with all his strength and then used his divine power, after assimilating his spiritual sense with the cosmos inside his dantian. After that, a strand of primal chaos force circled around Han Qingwu and pulled her inside the black vortex that had appeared on his chest suddenly. This was his first attempt to bring a human from the outside world to the cosmos inside his dantian. The other entity that he had absorbed inside was the Heavenly Path Universe Tree, but he was attempting to bring an actual human inside this time. So, he needed to use the huge vitality of the Heavenly Path Universe Tree to protect Han Qingwu's soul and reignite her vital force again. A few moments later, Han Qingwu felt her head spin in confusion as she found herself in a brand new world. This expansive world had a series of planets in all directions, and she simply found it hard to believe her senses as she could feel a breath of life from all these planets. That tree. Han Qingwu trembled. She had a faint feeling that the beautiful and vivid multicolored tree was brimming with vitality. She could even see a light green energy flow towards her from the tree and enter her body as she absorbed the spiritual energy of the world. In the next moment, she could clearly sense that the strand of light green energy was raising her dwindling vitality. I never imagined it's really possible to hold life within this cosmos. Qingwu, how do you feel now? An indistinct figure appeared before Han Qingwu suddenly. Han Qingwu looked at Tang Xiu, who appeared a bit illusionary and unreal, and revealed an excited expression on her face. The energy emitted by that tree is complementing my vitality. I should be able to survive if I remain here. Xiao, where is this place? Tang Xiu answered, inside my dantian. It's a cosmos that I've established inside my dantian. Han Qingwu found this hard to believe. You're actually able to establish this kind of world inside your dantian? This is just unbelievable. Tang Xiu smiled faintly and said, since this place can preserve your life, go up that heavenly path universe tree to recuperate now. You can contact me using your spiritual sense if you need me. I'll be able to sense it. MHM. Han Qingwu knew that her injuries were too serious, so she agreed to it and flew towards Heavenly Path Universe Tree. Tang Xiu regained his divine sense and coughed out another mouthful of blood. His injuries were actually pretty grave. He surveyed his surroundings with his ice-cold gaze after he helped Han Qingwu settle and enveloped the surrounding 10,000 kilometers, with a tremendous amount of primal chaos force in just a few seconds. Souls, gather, and assemble. Tang Xiu enunciated the words with his ice-cold voice, and in the next instant, rainbow-colored specks of starlight appeared within this range of 100,000 kilometers. As Tang Xiu couldn't figure out which specks of soul force belonged to Eagle and Old Sycamore, he gathered all 5 types of specks and absorbed them into his body after segregating them into 5 rainbow-colored light spheres, sealing them inside his left hand. He believed that he would be able to find a method to revive Eagle and Old Sycamore. Let's go. Tang Xiu took a deep breath and consumed a purple scent pill, as well as 2 drops of god blood to heal on his way back to the army of the Great Tang Empire. He finally saw Apotheon Mu and the others who were rushing over half a day later. Master. Your Majesty. Apotheon Mu and the others revealed shocked expressions and rushed before Tang Xiu, wearing worried looks on their faces when they saw their dire states of Tang Xiu and the others. Tang Xiu took a deep breath and said deeply, we encountered Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and almost died in their hands. However, now isn't the time to talk about this. We need to rush to the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect at once and help settle their crisis first. After that, we'll immediately engage in war with the Inner Pill Sect and Everlasting Palace. Understood. A few days later. Tang Xiu recuperated while sitting cross-legged on an immortal flying artifact, and his expression changed suddenly as he sensed Han Qingwu call out to him from the cosmic space inside his dantian. He immediately transmuted his divine sense into an avatar and appeared before Han Qingwu. What is it? Have your injuries healed? Han Qingwu answered, the dwindling of vitality has already stopped. So the energy from the Heavenly Path Universe Tree is nourishing my immortal soul and body now. However, it would at least take a few years for me to recover completely. Tang Xiu nodded slowly. Recuperate here. I'll let you go outside once you have recovered fully. By the way, why did you call me? Han Qingwu asked, you must be planning to attack the Inner Pill Sect and Everlasting Palace, right? Tang Xiu said with a nod, that's right. The Great Tang Empire has a well-trained and powerful army now, and plenty of powerhouses. Even if all the powerhouses of Inner Pill Sect and Everlasting Palace band up together, they still aren't our match. Han Qingwu nodded and said, I know that the Great Tang Empire already has over a dozen supremes currently. However, to ensure a certain victory, send someone from your faction to contact Missing Star Empire's Morong Tianbua, our former housekeeper. He will lead the Missing Star Empire's army to aid you.